Hello, hi. Yes, I'd just like to continue a bit more about the extent of the market correction that it's going to happen. Um, if you look at this, right, the Nasdaq, if you look at the chart here, it was at 16,000 and drops to 14,000, which then is around, um, now it's about 13,900. If you look at the Nasdaq, as the index chart, 13,500. So if you look at the 5-year growth, it hit. If you look at pre-COVID, right, it was actually around 9,000. So of course, if you look at a healthy correction, it should be in the range of about 11 to 12,000. Of course, not denying the fact that the 3 to 6 trillion stimulus that has been given out, and the social credit that is going to happen next month, going to be deposited into people's account, people with families and kids. So there could be further slight correction, or which people will call it a crash. But I'd like to draw you back to this particular news. Maybe you take a look at the news, and this person's Jeremy, a YouTuber, talks about the 4 different indexes.
I watch futures, okay? Futures were down big. Then futures were up big. Then futures were down big again. What this shows me is the market has no flip and flapjacking clue where it wants to go. All the market's looking at right now is what is the narrative short term from kind of the media out there. And if everybody's talking about the Russia situation and all the embassy closed, the market's going to tank on the back of that. It's literally like headline reading right now. And whatever the headlines are, that's the way the market wants to move. If we didn't have a headline around, a super negative thing around Russia today, the market probably would have been up. But that's all that matters right now. Company earnings don't matter right now in this sort of market. Balance sheets don't matter. Income statements don't matter. Nothing matters in this sort of market but the headlines. The headlines are completely driving this market right now, and the market has no clue where it wants to go. All the market knows is it wants to move wherever the headlines move it right now. It's quite extraordinary, right? Now, this is pretty crazy. So I'm watching the Russell again here. I'm keeping track of this. I kept track of it last week. And what I'm finding is the Russell is pretty much consistently outperforming the other indexes. And here I'm looking at it again. It's doing a little better than the Nasdaq. It's doing better than the S&P. It's doing better than the Dow. If this wasn't such a drama cycle we're in right now with everything that's going on, right? I think the Russell would be basically in this situation where this thing could beast. I think it's a coiled spring that whenever we have like max drama going on out there right now between all these different things all hitting us at once, right? Whenever this crap calms down, the Russell's ready to go on a run that I think is going to be pretty darn epic. Let's just put it that way. And the reason I have that type of conviction is not just because we're looking at, small caps that are trading really, really cheap right now, and a ton of them, right? The main reason is I'm watching the indexes. In a normal market, when the VIX is super high and the market's super fearful, you should expect the Russell to be selling off way heavier than other indexes. When the Russell's outperforming the other indexes in this sort of volatile market that's in a downtrend, there's something weird, there's something a little fishy going on. And it just shows me that it's just waiting to make a massive move, but we're not going to be able to make that massive move in the Russell or in the markets in general, but specifically with the Russell, until all this crap calms down. When you have the Russia situation all over the headlines, when you have inflation all over the headlines, when you have the Fed all over the headlines, when you have all that, right? Plus all the other stuff going on. When you have all that, how's the Russell going to make a positive move right now? It's just in this negativity cycle. I can't find, like I said, I watched CNBC for like an hour or two, the past hour or two. I couldn't find, I was really interested. I'm like, let me see if I can find anything they talk about that's a positive. Nothing. I couldn't find one single thing that was like the narrative was a positive in this situation. Every single thing came from a negative angle, a negative standpoint. that's it. And the Russia situation just kept getting talked about, and oh, this happened. And so it was interesting. I watched it for an hour or two, and I'm like, this is the biggest financial news network, and it's just that's where it is everywhere right now. Though everything has a negative angle on it and a negative spin. And when you're in that sort of market, it gets very, very tough to move the indexes up when just every single thing is just negative, negative, negative. I can tell you when things flip.
Okay, so if you look at this, right, basically maximum fear that's happening right now. So if you look at my earlier video, I also did talk about the VIX index at 31 right now, 32 range. So if there could be further correction from, let's say, Nasdaq and Russell's, let's say Nasdaq now at 13,500, it may drop another, let's say, 1,500 points. It looks like we are nearer to the lower end and higher chance of going up than and lower chance of going down. So if you look at the Nasdaq and the Russell, which is my channel is about, so it looks like this is actually a good timing to enter.
Trying to one up each other every single day as far as rate hikes go. Okay. Every day, all of a sudden now it's like, it was like, oh, we're expecting 2 to 3 rate hikes in 22. Then it was, 3 to 4. Then it was 4 to 5. Then it was 5 to 6. No, look at this. Goldman sees Fed hiking 7 times in 22 instead of 5. Okay. Look at this here. 8 rate hikes from JP Morgan's Michelle. Okay. 8 now. I mean, we're at this situation now where Wall Street's like running over each other to like who can put the most outlandish amount of rate hikes possible, right? And I mean, what's next? 10, 12? Like why stop at 8? Like let's just say 14 rate hikes, okay? And so now you're getting into this situation where these analysts are just trying to one up each other, and I think there's gonna be this many rate hikes, okay? And so when it comes to this, a lot of folks are fearful around the market, right, in terms of like valuations, and people might pay a lot less for stocks, given if the Fed funds rate is higher than expected, right? And if all of a sudden you're talking about everybody's putting out these outlandish numbers, 7, 8%, like what does that mean by the end of this year? 2%, 3%, 4%?
Yeah, so this is another one about another set of bad news continuing dominating the headlines. So, but it's okay. I think everything has been priced in. So if today we have funds, I think Nasdaq and Russell would be good. I know the news headline are asking us to go into inflation stocks, inflation protected stocks like gold and oil and commodities. But I would say that Nasdaq and Russell stocks are equally good buys as well. So yeah, that's all for today. Thank you. Sorry for my puppy's noise. It's I'm actually at a pet cafe, so it's a good Sunday. So let's have a good week next week on Nasdaq. Please click and subscribe and like the channel. Thanks.